At least once during the placement, preceptors will evaluate student progress. There are two options in this case. You can either complete the full final evaluation form, or you can complete the interim performance assessment form. This video will review the purpose of and how to complete the interim performance assessment form. This form can be used for placements in nutrition care, population health promotion, food provision, and for the practice-based project. The intent of this form is to encourage reflection and discussion about the student's strengths and areas for growth at this point in the placement, to highlight any gaps between the placement learning activities and the placement competencies and performance indicators, and to formulate a plan for the student to improve their performance and to ensure any competency gaps are addressed in the placement time remaining. At least once during the placement, the preceptor and student will set aside some time to come together and discuss the completed interim performance assessment. The student will complete part 1 of the form. Students, take some time to reflect on the level of your performance in the placement. Where have you demonstrated improvement? What are you doing well? What are your learning priorities for the next portion of your placement? Review the competencies for your placement. Are there any gaps between the learning activities and the placement competencies? Preceptors will complete part 2 of the form. Preceptors, take some time to reflect on the level of the student's performance. What are they doing well? What specific items do they need to focus on for the remainder of the placement? This is a chance to double check that the learning activities occurring in the placement will address the required competencies. If you have identified minor or significant gaps in the student's performance, use this conversation to discuss your concern. The DEC is available to support you in this conversation. Please be sure to clearly document your performance concern on the form and contact the dietetic education coordinator to make them aware. If a student is struggling, a performance action plan may be required. If you have identified gaps in the placement activities, use this conversation to brainstorm possibilities available through the placement that could be used to address these gaps. Your dietetic education coordinator has lots of ideas for learning activities. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you feel stuck. Once the form and discussion are complete, the form should be signed by both student and preceptor. By checking the response box at the end of the form, you are verifying the information is true and correct. The checked box is accepted as a replacement of a handwritten signature. The signed and completed form is emailed to the dietetic education coordinator. This can be done by either the student or preceptor. Please ensure to include everyone on the email. That is the student, the preceptor, and the DEC so that everyone has a copy. The student will upload the completed form to their OWL Dropbox. The dietetic education coordinator will review the submitted form. Any concerns will be directly addressed with the student and/or the preceptor. The dietetic education coordinator is looking for trends in performance evaluations that indicate an improvement in dietetic skill over time and that all performance indicators are met. Preceptors and students are invited to contact the dietetic education coordinator to discuss the assessment findings or at any point during the placement to discuss the evaluation process or performance concerns.